Crazy Rich Asians. Did the book or movie do it better? Today, we'll look at the differences in some of the main characters of the series. First up, we have our protagonist, Rachel Chu, played by Constance Wu. In the book, she is described as being attractive, even if she does always wear practical clothing and minimal makeup. The style reflects her middle-class background, with an emphasis on the fact that she is culturally out of place within Nick's world. In the movie, she has more of an elegant energy than book Rachel's casual academic vibe. She is always styled glamorously when she arrives in Singapore, and her wardrobe evolves with her arc. Nick Young, portrayed by Henry Golding, is Rachel's boyfriend and Eleanor's son. In the books, he is described as being handsome, tall, fit, and with classic good looks. He dresses simply in polo shirts and chinos, with a casual luxury that doesn't scream money. In the movies, his physical description matches, although Golding is ethnically Malaysian while Nick is ethnically Chinese. His wardrobe is also elevated in the movie. He has tailored suits and slicked back hair. His appearance is more classical and clean, and far more polished than book Nick's. Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh plays Eleanor Young, Nick's domineering mother. In the books, she is described as elegant, refined, and impeccably put together, always dressed in old money chic. In the movie, Eleanor matches book Eleanor's description with the added elements of gravitas and poise. The book often references her preference for conservative classic fashion, nothing too flashy, but always expensive. In the movie, her wardrobe is extremely telling: high collars, pearls, muted colors, and structured silhouettes. Her fashion always speaks of restraint, tradition, and wealthy status. And what about Astrid Leong, played by Gemma Chang? In the book, she is described as slender, delicate, and stylish, which the movie translated correctly. But her fashion is a bit different. In the books, she is considered a natural beauty who turns heads, but she is never flashy. She shops at discreet, ultra-luxury boutiques, and her clothing is expensive but subtle. The movie lends itself to visual storytelling through her fashion, so we see more designer clothing and tailored silhouettes that emphasize a quiet power. Now, let's talk about the biggest story changes between the book and the film adaptation. One major change is the Youngs' wealth. In the book, the Youngs are described as a classy, old money family that none of the new money families in Singapore, like Goh Peek Lin's family, have ever heard of. The Youngs guard their family and their wealth in secrecy. In the film, however, everyone has heard of the Youngs and their lavish lifestyle. Remember that scene where Rachel reveals to Peek Lin's family that she's dating Nick Young and the entire family freaks out? And speaking of freakouts, we have to talk about Eleanor. In the book, she is shown as a scheming woman determined to keep Rachel away from her son at all costs. In fact, she doesn't actually meet Rachel until almost 3/4 of the way into the book. She misses the party at Tyersall Park because she's in China meeting with a private investigator to dig up dirt about Rachel. In the film, the two actually meet much earlier on. They meet at Nick's grandmother's party, and in that scene, Rachel meets the entire family. The movie also offers more backstory into the sacrifices that Eleanor has made for her family, whereas in the book, they're really mentioned in whispers and as second thoughts. Another major change is Astrid and Michael's relationship. In the novel, we discover early on that her husband is having an affair, and then she spends the rest of the book chasing after him. She eventually finds out that he faked the entire affair to get a divorce from Astrid because he can't stand the pressure of being married to her and her family's expectations. In the movie, however, the affair is real, at least as far as we're told. In the book, we also meet Astrid's old flame Charlie, who helps Astrid rekindle her relationship with Michael out of his love for her. But in the movie, he is largely absent from the story, save for a mid-credit scene. Fans should also remember the infamous bachelor party for Colin Ko and the bachelorette party for Araminta. While the bachelor party is still an epic fail, which Nick wants to escape, it's more condensed on the screen. In the book, the crew go to Macau for a weekend filled with dogfights, drugs, and hookers, but in the movie, the party is moved to a large container ship in the middle of international waters. For Araminta's bachelorette party in the books, Astrid doesn't attend, whereas in the movie she does and is Rachel's savior from Araminta's mean girl crew. And we need to talk about that ending. In the book, the story concludes with more questions than answers. Will Nick propose to Rachel? Will Rachel take back her quest to see her father? Will the Youngs ever come around to their relationship, or will Nick stay exiled from Tyrosell Park forever? In the movie, we get a proper rom-com genre happily ever after for everyone. We see Eleanor finally allowing Nick to propose to Rachel thanks to the climactic mahjong game where Rachel confronts her. Now, let's talk about what the movie got right and what they got wrong. One of the greatest strengths of the movie is its exceptional cast. The lead trio of Constance Wu, Henry Golding, and Michelle Yeoh delivered strong performances. The chemistry between Rachel and Nick was believable and charming. The character of Eleanor in the books is described as being controlling and conniving, and while those traits still apply to the movie, they are elevated into something more elegant and menacing thanks to Yeoh, bringing a more complex and nuanced antagonist to life. Another key strength of the movie adaptation is its meaningful representation and challenging of racial stereotypes. The film made headlines for being the first major Hollywood picture in decades with a majority Asian cast. And it didn't just stop at the casting. It paid close attention to Asian cultural nuances, from the mahjong scene between Rachel and Eleanor, which isn't in the book and was used as a metaphor for strategy, respect, and sacrifice, to the food-centric montage at the Hawker Center highlighting Singaporean street cuisine as a cultural bridge. For many viewers, especially Asian Americans, seeing their identities portrayed with dignity, complexity, and glamour was both validating and emotional. A third strength for the movie is its dazzling production design, which effectively brings Kevin Kwan's extravagant world to life. A prime example is Araminta and Colin's wedding. The scene where the aisle is transformed into a watery runway with live flowers blooming around the bride's feet is both surreal and symbolic, elevating the moment into something that is more than just a ceremony, but an ethereal experience. Similarly, the bachelor party on the cargo ship and the glamorous garden party at Tyrosell Park showcase the absurd excess and decadence of the ultra-wealthy. The film uses these moments not just for spectacle, but to contrast Rachel's modest background with Nick's opulence. However, as much as the movie has its strengths, it did also have a few weaknesses. One major weakness of the movie is its oversimplification of some of the key subplots. In translating the book to the screen, several layered storylines were minimized or cut. Astrid's character arc, for instance, is heavily trimmed. In the novel, her marriage issues, her hidden wealth, and her former fiancé Charlie Wu all serve to explore the themes of secrecy, gender roles, and emotional repression among the elite. The film hints at these issues, but it wraps them up very quickly, only teasing Charlie's reappearance in a post-credits scene, which fans of the book may find frustratingly shallow. Additionally, one of the biggest weaknesses is the film's predictability. Despite its cultural significance, the film follows a familiar romantic comedy formula. It's the meet the family trope, the last-minute airport reconciliation, and the I gave you my ring equals I accept you ending, which are all well-worn tropes. While executed with style, these plot beats can feel conventional. For example, the climactic mahjong scene, while powerful, still functions as a narrative shortcut to resolve the central tension without fully grappling with the cultural differences or the long-term implications of Rachel and Nick's relationship. Another weakness is the movie's softened social commentary. The book is such a sharp critique of Singaporean classism, social snobbery, and the old money versus new money divide. While the film touches on these themes, such as Eleanor's disdain for Rachel's Americanness and Peakland's new money lifestyle, it ultimately favors romance over deeper commentary. For example, the Young family's complex network of social manipulation and rigid hierarchy is shown almost through a lens of glamorous parties and gossip rather than through the systemic and generational weight that the book portrays. Alright, so which one wins, the book or the movie? For me, the movie does ultimately win. It expands the story and the world and deepens the characters and adds so much more emotional depth. But what do you think? Did the adaptation do the book justice, or do you prefer the book? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And until then, I will see you next time right here on Collider.